And the reason why I'm showing my wallet here is I had, a lot of EOS, a lot of Ethos, Tron, um, and a lot of things on here that, I went out to dinner and came back and the wallet looked like this. So I got cleaned out from everything I had in this wallet. I got hacked yesterday. I don't know how it happened.
Hi, this is Carly from Sentinel Protocol. Today we're going to be talking to Dallas Rushing, an investor, crypto enthusiast, and YouTuber. He had his wallet attacked recently and all his EOS, Ethos, Tron was stolen. At Sentinel Protocol, we take security very seriously, and we wanted to hear from Dallas on how his experience can be a lesson for the crypto community. Hi, Dallas. So at one night, you discovered your wallet was attacked. Now, given what you know today, can you tell us how it actually happened?
Yeah, and thank you for having me on, Carly. I appreciate it. So yeah, I mean, basically, yeah, I went out to dinner. I had moved funds over to the Exodus wallet, and went out to dinner for a couple hours, came back, and it was gone. After that happening, I reached out to Exodus, and their customer support, has been nothing but helpful up to this point. They were quick to hop on with me and really help do their due diligence. And the different people I spoke with, they spent hours going through every different possible scenario they can look at from their end. So they really helped out as much as they could, I think, to the extent that they could. And then obviously tracking the funds, I saw that the funds went over to Binance, and it was really trying to figure out kind of what happened with that, and hoping that Binance would help me out a little bit. So to do whatever they could. I mean, even if it was to just freeze the account or whatever it was of the person. Unfortunately, I've put a couple support messages out to Binance, haven't heard anything back from them. I don't know if it's whether they're just so busy they haven't seen it, or they can't do anything about it. I'm not really, I guess, unsure at this point. But yeah, I mean, so. Beyond that, right, I mean, you look at how the Exodus wallet works, and it's either the 12 word to get in there and basically get into your account, or it would be an Ethereum private key to get in there and access that. And so for me, like, I can't say with 100% certainty how that was acquired. The only things I can think of, I don't know. I mean, unless maybe like an email way back at the time when I made it was compromised already. It's hard to say for sure, because I've used the wallet many times since then. But I've tried to do everything I could to figure that out. But up to this point, I'm still not 100% sure how the hacker acquired whatever info that they got to basically get in and get the funds. But I'm still trying to figure it out. Yeah.
What security measures had you taken before that incident?
Yeah, I mean, so typically, I just with good security practices, I don't keep any passwords or anything like that on my computer. It's just, I know how vulnerable these things are. Like I said, as far as right now, the current state of crypto, unfortunately, if people can get your private key, typically if once they send the funds out, those funds are non-reversible. So, I really try and take every precaution I can to send the funds, or to not the funds, but to keep the, private key or any sort of login off of the computer so that it's not very accessible, for anybody who might get lucky enough to break in if that's their goal. And then other than that, really, that's it. Really, just trying to keep everything offline and private and in a really safe place where only I know where it is.
Are you taking different measures after that incident?
Yeah, I mean, more so, now, I mean, I have a ledger, also, I did prior, but it's just, I'm keeping everything that I can fund-wise, on a ledger, just because of the, added layer that a ledger provides, with somebody needing, not only the ledger, but, the PIN, and then also that brief moment while it's connected, to be able to actually do something. And even that, it's, from what I've been able to find on the internet and everything in my research of I've seen that ledgers are pretty much one of the best, if not the best, measure for security that I've been able to find. So more so for me, it's just keeping funds on that and not really relying on a desktop wallet or anything like that where there's always that extra layer of chance.
What did you do
Yeah.
to confirm that you're safe and not compromised after the hack?
So I took my computer in to Apple, and ran everything that they recommended, any kind of malware, anything like that, and I couldn't find anything. I didn't find that there was any type of malware on the computer that could have been lurking there in the background. I got rid of any wallets that I had that were existing at the time, like any type of my Ether wallet, anything like that, and just moved everything over to brand new wallets, and just kind of resetted everything, reset the password on the computer. Absolutely everything that I could reset, reset all my email passwords, everything like that, just to be as safe as possible. Not knowing exactly where, how, the information was acquired, to be able to get in.
You mentioned in the video this was your mistake, but is it fair to say the crypto asset security should primarily be the responsibility of the individual?
Obviously using something like a ledger, like I said, it is like an enhanced layer of security to where, if I've got that, someone, I'd assume extremely hard for someone to try and guess, the PIN code that I would use on there and all that. Other than doing that, it's hard, right? You can only do so much up to this point. It's crypto, right? And I think that that's been something that probably has kept, a lot of the masses out of, a lot of the projects in the space, right? Unless it's like, things that are on, Coinbase or something, because it's so simple for people. It's just an app on their phone that kind of takes the thought out of it. But, like the real world, you actually have some recourse to be able to go and get the funds, or, they can block it or reverse the transactions, and in crypto right now, it's still kind of the Wild West, and we don't really have those options, so there's only so much you can do.
You talked a little about how few options people who own cryptos have with the current system, and how it differs so much from those with traditional banks. Because with the traditional banking system, people have legal recourse whenever their accounts get hacked or money stolen. Do you think this recourse is the only thing that is missing in the crypto world?
It's hard to say like it should be exactly like that, because obviously, we're in this new world for a reason, because decentralization is awesome to a certain extent with the right balance. I learned from the recent interview I did on my channel, speaking with Key from Ono. She kind of made a good point, saying we do need a balance of centralization and decentralization as well, because too much of anything is not a good thing. So I think we need to take some of the aspects of the traditional systems that keep people safe, or give them that peace of mind, so that they have some sort of recourse, and implement that, whether it's in a similar fashion or sort of a newer upgraded version to make it better for people. I think that just because I put money on the table, if you take it, it's still mine. You know what I mean? And I think in crypto, we're in this world now where if someone gets your private key and they send the funds out, it's no longer yours, and it's just I don't really see that being sustainable in the long run, or at least an enticing thing for a lot of people to want to come in, who aren't already in and wanting to be early adopters. I think people like having that layer of security. I think some people are okay making that trade-off to know that someone has their back, that they're not kind of out there all by themselves.
So after that incident, you got to know about Sentinel Protocol, and now you've studied the project and you also reviewed our project. In your opinion, what is the biggest value a platform like Sentinel Protocol can bring to the crypto space?
I think Sentinel Protocol is, a really interesting project, right? In the video I had put out, I said, whenever it happened, and this is just true for me, I think with anything, whether it's a hack or, something obviously more positive, I always like to try and go and dig deep and look into projects who might already be, working on those problems that I've encountered, or something that maybe like if I ever have a good idea, I'll go out and look and see, God, someone's got to be working on this. And I think Sentinel, what you guys are doing, I think is really cool. Incentivizing, people to be sentinels to basically help out, but B, the added layer where, if this were to happen, I could go somewhere and report the incident, and then people are actually trying to help me out, and then also if I'm correct, I know Sentinel, really the goal with it is to have relationships with exchanges, right? So that these things can be, kind of handled quick, so that the person who steals the funds doesn't really have the option to go liquidate. Though, so again, it's just having someone there to have your back. You know what I mean? It's nice to have that. And up until right now, there wasn't really, too many options for that, so I think you guys are a legitimate option to be able to provide that for people.
Drawing from your experience of this incident, what do you recommend other crypto users to protect themselves against attacks?
Yeah, I mean, you look at, obviously, right, like a big rule of thumb in crypto is, you don't want to leave your funds on an exchange, right? Because if an exchange gets hacked, then your funds are technically vulnerable because, they're sitting in someone else's wallet and not your own, right? But the benefit of an exchange, is if those funds are sent off, you have things like two-factor authentication or, like you said, some sort of alert that's letting you know. And unfortunately, with the particular wallet I used, and kind of like you said, up until something like what you guys are setting to create, out and ready and open to the public, there was no alert, right? I mean, the funds were just sent, however much, whatever it was, all the EOS, all the Ethos, the Tron, all these different coins I had that were taken. And there's no alert, but the difference, in the realistic world that we're not realistic, but then in the fiat world that we're in now, if someone tried to send $10,000 from my Chase bank account, then you get an alert, and it's because it looks fishy. Like you said, there's all these things in place that are looking for irregularities, and it's that would be nice. That would have been nice to have, in that scenario. I think it could have been prevented. Yeah.
Drawing from your experience of this incident, what do you recommend other crypto users to protect themselves against attacks?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, number one, like you got to until a realistic solution, is fully out there, and like you said, something that sounds like what you guys are creating is out there. Until then, people have to protect their private keys like it's their life. You know what I mean? You really got to keep it so safe because like I said, these transactions are irreversible. So I think a hardware wallet is a great option. Ledger wallets are great. I think Trezor wallets are great as well. Because again, like for the people who don't know how those work, they have to actually be plugged in for the wallet to be accessed. And in a sense, like it's almost it's very hard to hack. I mean, extremely hard. Like people can't just hack into that wallet without it. And the other thing is, like, you don't even know your private key with a Ledger wallet unless you really want to go and export it and get it. So it kind of takes the guessing game out of like where you're going to store it and keep it safe and hope nobody gets it, and if that little paper you wrote it down on doesn't get caught in a fire or whatever. There's just so many different things, and I think for people to just be as safe as possible, I think using a hardware wallet would be a great option. And also, yeah, just be safe. Don't let people see your private keys. Be careful. Make sure you're alone when you're creating wallets. A good practice always too is don't access and trade your funds when you're on public Wi-Fi, like at coffee shops and things like that, because if you do some research, those things are so hackable, it's crazy, and people get tons of information every day from people because they're exposing sometimes some private things when they're on whatever, the Starbucks Wi-Fi. So I'd say avoiding those and using something like a hardware wallet is probably the best advice I could give people for now with the options that we have.
Considering how Cold Wallet becomes hot wallet once connected to the internet, it's not the ultimate solution to the issue, I believe. And again, which goes back to our product development.
Yeah.
That's all the questions I had for today. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Dallas, for taking the time to do this interview.
Yeah. Thank you, Carly, for reaching out. I really appreciate it. Like I said, I mean, I'm optimistic, about what you guys are doing, and I think that not obviously my scenario is just a lesson to be learned, and that's why I wanted to be transparent, open with it with people. I mean, I think a lot of people would kind of keep it quiet and not want to do it to feel embarrassed or something or whatever, but I think honestly it happened. You know what I mean? And if I can give people advice to just take every precaution possible so that it doesn't happen to them, despite, even for me, like I said, I don't know how it was accessed, but I think if people can take, some lesson from it and keep themselves safe, then I'm okay, kind of being the one, learning that lesson for people along the way. But again, like I said, thank you for reaching out, and I'm excited to kind of follow your guys' progression and see whenever, Sentinel is, fully up and ready. I think people can benefit a lot from it if you guys are able to pull off everything that is on the roadmap for you guys.
Yeah, sure, of course. Bye, Dallas.
Cool. All right, Carly. Thank you. Have a good one.